think we're live. So hello and welcome back to my channel. And for the first episode in a new series that I'm going to be running on headlines and hashtags, where I sit down for a one-on-one interview with one of my favorite creators. And hopefully I'll be able to invite lots of you guys on and you can suggest some of your favorite creators for us to speak to. So I am having as my first guest, one of my close YouTube buddies, Mike VanDuzee. He's going to be my first guest. So I'm going to bring him into the chat and let him introduce himself. So we'll bring Mike in from backstage. Hello, Mike.
Hey.
Thank you very much for being my first guest.
No problem. You're one of my favorites too.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'll pay you later. You had to say that. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good? Right,
yes.
Then. If you could just tell my viewers a little bit about yourself, whereabouts in the world you are, and a little bit about you.
Let's see. I'm in Florida, United States. I've got a couple of channels as far as being a creator. I started out doing hydroponics, and I've got another one where I'm doing creator help, and I'm also helping my wife with one too, which is arts and crafts.
Very busy, very busy.
Yep. So the other two basically got started in the past couple of months, and the hydroponics one, I've been doing that for about 2.5 years now.
So my first question would be then, what actually inspired you to first take the leap into YouTube content creation? I guess that was with your hydroponics channel was your first.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've been working, I've been self-employed with my wife for like the past 20 years. It was 1999 is when we started. And we've been on the road. We travel a lot. She does murals and I do handiwork and renovations, and we're always traveling. And as I'm getting older, I'm getting tired of setting up scaffolding and painting on ceilings and 2-story buildings and such. So one of my hobbies that we were doing was learning how to grow our own food. And we had lived on this 300-acre ranch. We were actually working as farmhands part-time. And so we were trying to grow our own food. And when we were gone, every time we would leave and come home, like your garden would be like dried up or dead or something, attacked it or something. So I was trying to find different ways to grow. So we found this real unique way to do it, hydroponics off grid and a really cheap way, because traditional hydroponics tends to be really expensive.
Yeah, it is kind of renowned for that. But that's what's wonderful about your channel is that, and I can see why that inspired you to go into that niche, because you know, ultimately, I think you say the word hydroponics and straight away people can feel a bit closed off from it and they think it's, you know, a bit out of their reach. But I know from seeing your videos that, you know, you really do break down how this can be done on a budget, and, you know, you don't have to have a huge wealth of knowledge beforehand. And so, yeah, I guess that's what inspired you. You wanted to share those tips with other people.
Yeah, and basically I was wanting to start a business. Like I said, we're getting tired of, you know, being on the road. And I thought maybe if I could share this, we actually make, you know, the grow boxes, and we make the same things that I was using. I was going to sell them. So I never was into social media, and I was the old guy who wouldn't even download Facebook. And, you know, I wouldn't do any of it. I was really cynical about the whole thing.
I think that's generational, to be fair. I think that's a generational thing. I think for a lot of us, it didn't grow up with the internet and social media. It did take, I think I was very much worried about, oh, Facebook, that'll die out eventually. You know, that'll definitely die out.
But one big thing that you find out about me is that if you try to attack something, I like to not think too much, you know, be romantic about how I feel about it, but think what's working. And I could see there was a ton of people, you know, on the new social media platforms. They were growing, and there was a lot of things being sold. So I thought maybe I'd start a channel, and I told my wife I'll show people how to make these boxes and how to do it. And she said, well, how are you going to make money at that if you're showing them everything? I said, well, sooner or later, somebody's not going to have time or not want to do it. And they'll say, can I have one? Yeah. And then I'll sell it. So you're not really out there selling, people are asking you for it. So I started doing that, and I was doing good, but then I got a little busy making these boxes, packing them, standing in line at the post office, then doing our real job. And that worked out for about a half a year or close to a year. But then the more I started to share, I was getting letters from people like around the world, and that were saying, thank you, the stuff you taught me, I'm taking it back to like this place in Africa that's like in a desert-like condition, and that they can't grow stuff, but they tried to do hydroponics. It was too expensive, and that they're going to use the knowledge that they learn from my videos to grow their own food.
And I
And
bet
then
you never ever dreamt that.
no, not at all. That was like, you know, it kind of took me back. And then I started getting more from people, like going to like elderly community in Egypt and someplace in Trinidad and Tobago and Chile and all these places, you know, they were saying that they're learning to grow. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I went all in on, I like closed my store. I opened up and sell a couple of things when people, like I said, they still ask for things and they're like, you know, I don't have the tools to make something. But I went all in on just sharing information and telling my crowd, you know, that's the big thing is, you know, I don't care if you like it or I don't care if you subscribe in that, but if you share it out, you know, that you don't know that one person shares it with more people and more people. And so we're spreading positivity around the internet where I thought it was like a bunch of, you know, bad things going on, either cat videos or just something stupid.
It was like that, you know, not that long ago, really, you know. So would you say, is there one particular person or persons that you'd been watching on YouTube that kind of inspired you to actually make the leap, even if it wasn't necessarily in, you know, the hydroponics niche? Was there a creator that you first saw on YouTube that kind of gave you that inspiration or the confidence to kind of start up your own channel?
Not really. Like I said, I came in with the intent that it was going to be business and I was business oriented. But then I did watch, you know, all the, you know, YouTube help channels and that so that I could learn the ins and outs because I didn't know anything about thumbnails and SEO and that. So I watched tons, like years of all of that. But I also watched like Casey Neistat. Peter McKinnon was like before he blew up. That's what I was watching. And those two, I actually got a passion for, like them doing their movies. I was like that back in when I was 18. I had to work for somebody and we were doing videography, but you had the big, huge thing. And then you had the VHS recorder strapped to your hip and battery packs, like the news reporters walked around. That's all you had back then.
You've always had a passion then, really, for that sort of the creation and the media.
So, yeah, so that's why my videos look a little different. They're not just tutorials, like just showing how to do something. I try to put a creative spin on it. People kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. You have got that. That is your style, and that does stand out. So you know, you say you didn't. Again, you know, our generation didn't really grow up with social media, but I do see you seem like you adapted to it very, very quickly. You actually really didn't struggle kind of understanding the ins and outs of how it works, rather than just, as we often say, you know, it's very easy to record a video and then upload it to YouTube, but there's so much that goes on under the bonnet. Seems like you kind of sussed that stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, and that came from before I even posted my first video, was watching, like I said, hours and hours, you know, of tutorials and, you know, what to do and what you need to do and getting started on, I think, Facebook before I even jumped into YouTube and building, you know, connections with tons of people over there so that once you do, you know, upload. So it wasn't like a random thing. I put a lot into it, but then I just came to like love it and enjoyed and making connections, you know, with people. And so now, you know, it doesn't seem like work that, you know, I wake up wanting to do it.
Yeah, you definitely have, you know, got a great community around you. And I think, you know, one thing that's always stood out about you for me, and certainly why, you know, we've become quite good buddies on here, is that you're very interested in the community side of things and actually utilizing the platform to network. I think that's something we've had in common. And I think that you have a very genuine personality in wanting to help people, like the Creator Spotlight show that you've recently created to help put the spotlight on other creators, help them have a platform really where they can talk like we are now and you know, shine a light on their channel and meet other creators. So I think, you know, that's something else that stands out for you, is your personality and the genuineness of you wanting to help creators, not just your content with the hydroponics. So that's, yeah. So if I just ask you as well, what was the hardest thing that you had to overcome personally in order to have the courage to like just start putting videos out there? Was there anything that you felt that was holding you back that you personally had to try and overcome, or did you find it quite easy? Do you have the kind of personality?
No, I was basically an introvert. I didn't like, you know, I would like to just be away from everybody and just be in my own little world. So that was a little difficult. And when I first started, I was going to make, like I said, just the tutorials and maybe just show your hands doing something. And I kept hearing from everybody, they want to see people and personalities on it. So I had to get over that. And like I said, so one of my first second or third video, I took like an old tub that we had and stuck it out in the yard and jumped in it like I do with my shorts, just so that it'd be something stupid and people sit there and laugh at you.
Self-deprecation is usually a common trick, I think, to overcome sometimes these things that we've all used.
And then early on, you get used to people making fun and laughing, and you all laugh together, and then you just move on from it. So, and then you're like, how much worse can it get from that? So,
No, very, very wise words. And I'm sure you said anybody who is watching, who is considering, starting a channel, is that's the thing, is I think most people have something that they have to overcome. But like Mike said, sometimes it's just a case of ripping off the band-aid and just doing it. And you find after you've done your first video, it's really not that bad. It can take time to build your camera confidence, but overall, I think just getting started is half the battle.
Oh yeah.
So if I could just ask as well, what has surprised you the most about being a content creator on YouTube? Something that just you didn't expect?
Well, besides just that, like I said, just sharing information, and that somebody, around the world, using it.
Questions like,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and just that's the one thing, is just the connections, is that, I thought when we uploaded a video, it was like people around me were going to see it, or the United States or something. Just blew my mind when
just your immediate,
somebody's like, I'm in Iceland, and how do you grow this or whatever? And I'm like, what? Yeah. So, and to be able to connect, but what really blows my mind about the whole thing is just like this, we're having a conversation, and you're in the UK, I'm in America. We were on the Creator Spotlight show. We had like a panel of people, and there could be somebody from Germany and Australia and America, and we could all be sitting there talking together and broadcasting
as well sometimes, because even just 2-3 years ago, you couldn't. I mean, you had Skype and you had Google Hangouts things, but not something that kind of married up with the whole YouTube Live. I mean, YouTube Live wasn't even really a thing until like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So yeah, absolutely.
And people were like complaining about like a 20-second lag or something. I'm like, you do realize we're talking with people all around the entire planet.
It would have cost a huge amount of money, like you said, to talk to somebody in another country. You're talking about a huge amount of money to dial up on the telephone, and and still that is the case.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of positives, but I would just like to ask you, is there anything in particular that you'd say that you found that you really dislike about YouTube as a platform?
I don't know if there's anything. I know it's like the negativity that's around it, and the culture of like just hating on YouTube. And I know that's easy to do because it's tough to navigate this whole thing. So, but I don't like the people who are feeding into, feeding the fire, because it is tough. And so some people know that people feel bad. So they're, what I mean? They kind of stoke the fire as far as, painted, YouTube's bad and this and that, that if you do look at like the good things we're talking about, we're blessed to be able to connect with people, basically for free.
Again, that's the generational thing. I know we've discussed this before, and other creators that we're friends with, is I think, I'm in my late 30s, very late 30s. So I'm about to turn 39 next week, actually. I know if Mike doesn't mind me saying that you're in your early 50s. So, we very much remember a time where this was just, it just wasn't even fathomable for us. We grew up without the internet. So, even for younger generation that had the internet, YouTube didn't really come about until, I think it was created 2006, but didn't really start going mainstream even until like 2010, 2011, by which stage I was like into my 30s. So, it was like, wow. And that's why my 30s, I've jumped on it and I've done it. And I'm sure like, yourself, you think, wow, I've got the opportunity to do this. It might be not the youngsters, but we appreciate what it's like to not have it. And the fact that, this is a free platform. What we're doing now is amazing. We're not being charged to do this. So you do have to get some perspective into, the privilege we have. And I think perhaps, and you are right about the drama and people hating on YouTube. And, I've been guilty myself of, say there are things I don't like about YouTube. But I always know that what I've just said, outweighs the negatives. So ultimately, this is a free platform. They could be charging you to use this platform. They could be select. You could have to apply, and they select you to be on their platform. But I think younger people, perhaps, and I don't, younger people, but some, not just young, because I know Mike and I both, there's people in our own age groups that, can act a little bit too entitled. But I think there is that element of entitlement, not from ignorance, just because they're being greedy, but almost because they just can't understand that, that they shouldn't have a fair shot at it because that's all they've ever known.
Right.
But so if there was anything you could change about YouTube, because you must have a niggle somewhere along the line. If there was something that you could change about YouTube, what would it be? If you had like a magic wand and you could change something about the YouTube platform that you don't like, or that is detrimental, perhaps just overall, might not be something that affects you personally, but one of the things they could work on.
I think the one thing that I really don't like that I do get on other platforms is the ability to connect directly, like with your subscribers, your fans, and that that you do have comments in this, but I think that, like, if you've got 1,000 subscribers, you should be able to click on something and be able to email each one or direct message them. And then if notifications don't go out, if you want to, you can say, hey, I dropped a video, or what would you like to see? And instead of just like a general, like the community tab or something where maybe 1 to 10% of your crowd is going to see it. I think the ability to really connect with your followers in a more organic way would probably, I'd enjoy seeing that.
Or maybe that's something that they can work on. If Susan W. happened to watch this video.
Maybe, yeah, she's listening.
So do you see yourself content creating down the line and saying like that? Because some people, it might be a moment in time for them. They might think, no, you know what, I'm doing this at the moment, but I don't have a long-term plan. And there are other people who just think, well, I'll be doing this as long as I can. How do you feel about that? Is it something you see yourself doing down the line?
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
that's
with your passion for your niche and I know the branch offs that you've made. I think it's natural for you to have answered that question really like that.
Yeah, my wife has seen it.
Stick back in my day when we started on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll be like on the thing on a rocking chair and still live streaming like at 88. But my wife, who's watched me work, and I've worked with her the past 20 years, and she's seen me work. We've been together since she was 17.
Oh, that's all.
And she's seen me go in and out of jobs.
You're almost like original entrepreneurs, because you said it, like the last 20 years, you've done a variety of different jobs, but they've been on your own terms. You've moved with the times. I mean, I'm guessing you will have gone through the recession as well as we did over here in that time, and
yeah,
you have to roll with the punches. So you are the original entrepreneurs. I feel like that word is thrown around so much now, but
it's funny that you said that, because I never wanted to call myself that, because like you said, the little stigma, where
car and like a mansion, and it's like this glitzy tech entrepreneur vision. I think a lot of people get, when but actually what you were doing is the original.
Yeah, and then I heard, and I listen to Gary Vee a lot, but one day he said something like, are you like born or bred, or can you learn to be an entrepreneur? And he said something like that, being an entrepreneur means that going to work for somebody else, that you feel like you just can't breathe anymore. And I'm like, that's exactly what I felt like, that I've been doing this for so long, that if I
really. So that's, I suppose, why doing this and multitasking with YouTube and channels and connecting with people and Facebook, this is kind of very natural for you, quite organic, because it's all you've ever known, really. This kind of having to be disciplined. So I think that's another big thing with when you are juggling different platforms and content creation, is you have to have a level of self-discipline and organization, and that's something that people can learn if they've never been needed to do that before. But obviously for you, that probably did come quite naturally. Yeah.
And it's all in, like I said, there's a bunch of technical stuff that you have to go through, but just, you're not going to stay up till, do you stay up like really late editing a video because you're thinking, I got to get it out because the algorithm is going to mess me up if I don't stay consistent? Or are you editing because you love it, and when you finish your project and you watch it, you watch it over and over and go, I really enjoy that. Once you get to that point, then everything else is easy.
Absolutely. And talking about equipment and editing and what have you, because I think that creators and people, you know, watching this, I think people are always quite intrigued as to what equipment other people use, especially if they're not, you know, huge YouTubers that are spending, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds on cameras and equipment and getting things for free. But what camera equipment and editing equipment do you use, or has that changed? What kind of cameras have you used?
Oh, yeah, that's changed. I started out and like I said, I calculated everything, you know, it was with a purpose, and I started with a Nikon point and shoot, just a cool pics.
Yeah.
But it did have 1080 video, and I said that I was going to do that because I kept hearing all these people saying, oh, start with what you have, your gear doesn't matter, start with what you have. But you know, if you do start, I have this $1,000 camera and $2,000, you know, and editing equipment. So I started with that and said it's $250 camera and free editing software. And I said, I'm not going to upgrade until I get to 10,000 subs. And I did that and stuck to it. And I even got like the M50, which is like another entry level, you know, the next level up. I got that when I was at about 9,000 subs, but I didn't use it because I wanted to hit that mark, because now I have a story to go back. I can, like the Creator Spotlight show, and I can teach people. And I say, where people say gear doesn't matter, I actually proved it and can show you with my channel and my videos, you know, that it doesn't take all the fancy stuff to get an audience. So
your Canon M50, is it you've got?
Yeah.
Would you recommend that camera for people if they were starting out or to spend a bit more?
Yeah, right now entry level, because it's like I said, things have changed so much in a few years. I mean, $600, but if you got your phone, I mean, people are spending over $1,000 on the phone, and that thing shoots 4K or it's slow motion in friggin' 4K or whatever. But you know, so
editing software. Do you have a particular program that you prefer using, or one that you?
Yeah, and we're not sponsored or anything, but it's HitFilm Express.
What was that? Sorry.
HitFilm Express.
I haven't heard of that.
And completely, it's easy to use. They've got other free software that goes a little step above that, but it's they got a free version and a paid version, and up to now, even now, I still haven't paid for any editing software, and so I'm up to like 17,000 subs and using free software. And
is that like a downloadable software? Because obviously most things now, you used to have the old discs, didn't you, and what have you, but now it's that's when you've downloaded. Is that?
Yeah, their basic thing has, you know, where you can do, you know, your basic cuts. They got transitions. They have basic color correction. They have a green screen color chroma key.
Yeah, that's popularity now as well. I think people.
Yeah, so
chroma key.
Yep. So they've got all the basics there, and you can always upgrade from there if you want. But I think the only thing I ever paid for was music so far, was just so that once I did get serious about it and my channel picked up.
Could you tell us about that then? What you use for? So you pay a subscription for royalty-free music?
Yes, Epidemic Sound.
So you
did
that one?
Oh yeah, because right now it's whitelisted, like my whole YouTube channel, and Facebook is connected, and Instagram, I think. So those three get all connected, so I can upload without, you know, I put available at Epidemic Sound, or, you know, whatever in my description. But I was using Soundstripe, and I really love that because it was different than other people. So my videos, people are going, what music is that? And I tell them, and then they couldn't get it, you know. So everybody, like Peter McKinnon would put out a video, and everybody was using the music. Yeah. The ones that I was doing, they couldn't use it.
It's so funny because that's one of my sort of pet peeves with YouTube's kind of audio library, and I know they've tried to, you know, extend it a little bit in recent months, but you know, it's better. But you know, even just a few months ago, you just find, you click on a video, you're like, oh, I used that one. Oh, I know that one. Oh,
yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah, I did use that about the first 6 to 8 months.
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
almost a whole year.
Starting out, you know, again, you use what you've got access to, and there is a lot more on audio library now, in fairness, since they added a few more. But it is nice, I think, to have the option to find other platforms for royalty-free music, and there are a lot out there. And I know that
now, yeah, some of those you got to be careful with.
Oh yeah, you do,
because some of them, they'll be royalty-free for a while, and you may put on your videos, and then that artist may all of a sudden decide to go with a record label. Yeah, and I've even had a friend that I was helping him early on, and just put his music and even his little album and mention credit and everything. I was like, you know, you want to put in my videos? It's like, sure, you know, I wasn't getting a whole lot of views. And now he went on and
Oh,
CD Baby, also I'm getting copyright claims on
there
videos from like a year
you
ago.
go, guys. That's another thing to bear in mind is you might come across somebody who's starting out. It's like, yeah, it's fine. I'm only little. Like, I'd love it if you used it. And, 2 years down the line,
Yeah.
you've got, especially if you put that on an evergreen video, because, a lot of people, when I use
he's a great guy. I'm sure if I contacted him that something could be done, but it's just, it's older videos and, for a couple of bucks, I'd rather him, support him.
Because these are the things people are watching. They, this is the whole point of this show. Really, is speaking in depth to creators like yourself, because I think other creators want to know these little tips and tricks. Okay, what advice? Seems very cliche and very generic, but what advice would you give people starting out a YouTube channel, specifically in 2019? Because I think if I'd asked this question to you last year, or even back in 2017, your answer would probably be different. I think so much has changed. But what advice would you give to people who are thinking of starting out a channel to be prepared for?
Well, I know that, like, the cliche thing to say too would be just do, but I don't know. Sometimes that seems like that's led to an overabundance of like videos out there. Everybody just grabbing their phones and grabbing anything. But I'd say, do your homework.
Yeah.
Is, definitely do your homework, because things are a lot different than when YouTube first started, or even 5 years ago, that it's heavy into algorithms, and your best bet is to get in front of, an audience. And if you can't learn how to do that, there's over 400 hours of video being uploaded every minute to YouTube. So you can imagine it's easy to get lost in all that noise. So do your homework, and, if you're passionate about it, make good content, share it. If that's all you want to do, that's one thing. But if you want to be seen, you got to do the good content. You got to do your good thumbnail, but do your homework as far as all the other stuff, because there's so much more, like you said, that goes on behind the scenes than just posting a video, than shooting it and editing and putting it up. So make sure you know what you're getting in for, because if you don't, that's why people burn out, is because they don't realize all the other work that goes into it.
You have to have the realistic expectation now, and it is very different. Whereas you could just chuck a video up and have a few keywords, but that it's, as much as I know there's people say, oh, it's killing the fun, and I'm guilty of saying sometimes it's too much about algorithm and data for Google, and it kills the creation side of it. But like we've said before, it is what it is, and like you said, it's essentially now like, well, how many millions, and double figure millions of people out there. You have to at least, it's like a job interview. You're going to go out of your way to do all the things you can possibly do to stand out. You're going to make sure you've done your hair good, you're wearing a great suit or good outfit, your CV is sharp, everything about you. Try and make sure all those little details are spot on, because you need to outdo the competition. I think with YouTube, you can't be slack. Doesn't mean that you have to have the best equipment. Doesn't mean you need to know everything. For no one knows everything to begin with. I don't. Mike doesn't. We're always learning, and you will get better the more you create. But definitely, I would say you need to go into it knowing that there is under the bonnet stuff, which might be boring and algorithmic and data and figures. But if you really want to succeed, I think it's worth. And that doesn't have to be a stressful thing. I don't find that particularly stressful. I'm sure you don't either, Mike. I mean, when obviously we all get a bit fed up. We want to grow more, but I don't think you should be put off by that. I think some people be like, oh, but I don't know about metadata, and I don't understand about the algorithm. What's algorithm? It doesn't matter. You'll find, as long as you go into it willing to learn these things, I think that's part of the battle. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, If you know that, it's so. If you're not going to do any of that, like I said, if you're just doing it for a hobby, or you want to document your life and have it there so that when you're 80, but if you want to make a go at it, and that, treat it like a business, or like you got to do your homework and be prepared.
It's like having a car, isn't it? You'd water, make sure it's got water, make sure it's got oil, check the tires. It's not about getting in the car and driving it. So yeah, they're just little things. But I would just like to ask as well for my final question, Mike, because you have really done fantastically with your hydroponics channel. You've branched off. You have a great presence on Facebook as well. and so they've obviously moved into live video and what have you there. So that's a whole another platform for you to take advantage of. You've also obviously got the Creator Spotlight show, which is growing all the time. If you guys haven't checked out the Creator Spotlight show yet, you must do. I shall link that in the description box of this video. But just want to say, moving forward now, what are your new aspirations and your new goals for your content creation?
I'm basically, like, I started the Creator Spotlight show. Like I said, I've got my hydroponics going, and that's rewarding as far as like a little side hustle and revenue coming in. But also, like I said, as far as like just the ego thing where, you know, it's helping people. Yeah. And, you know, I know that it's really, you can feel like you're selfless just giving in that, but it's a little bit selfish too, because it's the way you feel. You know, if I didn't feel good about it.
Way to be. If you're going to be selfish, that's the best way to be selfish. Though, is on it, you know, making somebody else feel good, and you know what you're doing. It's so much bigger than just making somebody. I mean, you know, we get a lot of these inspirational, motivational coaches now, and this kind of thing, and you know, and that's great in itself. But you know, when you think of what we're experiencing in the world in regards to climate change, you know, changes, natural disasters, say changes with the ozone layer, if that's even still a thing. But what you're doing is really helping combat what is going to happen down the line, because again, we already know there's going to be an issue, you know, growing food. We've had it with this country, you know, it gets to the point where food prices are going through the roof because there'll be a natural disaster somewhere, or there'll be, you know, the climate change is affecting crops and what have you. So I think, you know, for you, if I was in your position, I'd be feeling even more like I was doing my bit to help safeguard.
You kind of put a lot of pressure on me now.
I am. You're saving the world, but you know, growing your own food is it's only going to grow. You know, if you want to call it a trend, a niche, whatever you want to call it, ultimately that is going to grow. So I think for you, it's kind of sky's the limit at the moment.
Yeah. So I've got that going, and then, like I said, with the Creator Spotlight show, that helping creators, I really enjoy that. Like the gardening's one part. Like some of the other gardeners were talking to me and asking me to like do online courses and just all these other things. And I said, you know, that's all you see on that channel, but that's like a small part of me, that there's so much more to me. So I said, I'm over 50. I don't want to go all in on that, even though it's rewarding.
Mike, I would not have known if I hadn't seen your pinned tweet on Twitter, because you do not look in your 50s at all. But that's because you're always outside, you see, sunning yourself in lovely Florida.
My mom's side, she always looked young.
Aesthetics, good genes, yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so the creator thing, you know, is I've seen so many when we're on like YouTube, and over the years I made so many connections, and that's the one thing I can tell people is just connect with people, you know, in a real honest way. That I met so many people that do great content, and they have a message to share with people in that, but because they don't learn all the other stuff, that they can't be seen. And I've seen so many of them get frustrated and quit. Yeah, and it's people that make more, they make better videos than I do. They make better content than I do, you know, 10 times better than me. And I see them just fall by the wayside. And like I said, it's really sad. So if I can do something that helps out, because YouTube's kind of like whoever's making it, there's people like at the top, and they're like, you know, but they kind of forget about a whole lot of the people that, you know, and I like to try and help everyone. So, and I'm not saying that all of us are at the bottom, but you know, it's,
but you certainly have, you know, I've seen already, you know, the Creator Spotlight show, you know, the difference. You'll have somebody come on and, you know, they'll be in the chat and they'll maybe, you know, be a bit down on YouTube, and they'll, you know, share their feelings. Because I think it's important that you share that. I mean, obviously, you know, you have to have like we said earlier, you know, you have to have a kind of understanding that this is ultimately a free platform and we're all in the same boat. No one's got it easy. But it's okay to have your quibbles and your little things about it, because I do. But I find we'll be on a chat, and by the end of the show, these people are like motivated again and uplifted, and they're talking to people and they're chatting. And this is the thing, if you do get down on it, sometimes it's important to get out there and you know, go to, you know, start something like, you know, this. You StreamYard's a fantastic, again, hashtag neither of us are sponsored, but we both StreamYard, that's, you know, fantastic new way to go live on YouTube if you want to do this kind of thing, talk to people. I think it is important. I know for myself, speaking from experience, when I get down on YouTube, you know, because I will have, you know, we all go through it now and then, and you know, on a live or come on the creator show and talk to other creators, and you know, it could really make a world of difference. It's better doing that than quitting, because it is easy to get to a point where you can feel so disillusioned. But yeah, I think yeah, you definitely have to come by the Creator Spotlight show with Mike, and I'm on it sometimes. And you do shows throughout the week. Again, I'll list everything in the description box. But Mike's doing shows that so they cater to the obviously US audience, and Canada, Australia, their sort of time zones, and also Mike's doing midweek shows that cater more for the UK audience and the Eurozone audience. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse for you to not come over and join us. So, well, Mike, thank you ever so much for being my first guest.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, that'll be answers on a postcard of what I should name this new show. But if any of you are interested in coming on and having a one-to-one interview like I've had with Mike today, then please do drop me a comment. You can catch me on social media. Again, I'm going to put everything in the description box. But yeah, thank you ever so much, Mike. I hope that you viewers have enjoyed watching this and learning about Mike. Mike is a really interesting creator as well, as you can tell from this interview. He's a fantastic guy to get to know. He's always get back to you, whether it's on Twitter, maybe not immediately, you know, I don't want to be like, oh my God, you said you'd answer me through it. No, you know, Mike is great. He is interested in getting to know creators, and you know, people from all across YouTube, like totally different niches. Like you dabble in across the board, don't you? Because you do find on YouTube people can be very much like beauty community, gaming community, this community, whereas I think I'd like to say you and I are both quite good at crossing.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun.
It is. It's fantastic. So thank you, Mike, so much for being my first guest. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I shall catch you in the next episode of the yet to be named Creator Chat. I like Creator Chat, but we'll have a think. So thanks very much, guys. And don't forget, if you've liked this interview, please do like it and do leave a comment. Let me know if there's any kind of other questions that you'd like me to ask creators, and any suggestions for guests that I can invite onto my show. So thanks very much, guys. Bye.